We are back with Mark here, and we're delving now into the circumstance around how do we overcome these mental health challenges, talking about it, getting the doorway open, beginning to recognize that a conversation should happen is a good start. And you mentioned during one of our breaks when we were chatting about recovery and the role that's played for you, and how can people seek and get recovery. You're involved in a lot of charities. Talk to us a little bit about that so that we can give people watching some tactile tools and advice on how to move forward, find themselves the kind of help that they may want or need, or they can help a friend or a family member, an entrepreneur that they know, be able to access the right kind of resources.
40 days ago, I finally admitted I have an addiction problem. Now, to answer the part about how do you know when someone's going through an addiction phase, or even the stages before that, because there's signs. For me, it was a lot of stress. This year started out with my mom falling down, her Alzheimer's just spiraling, she going to hospice. I had a close friend that is that I was actually two that I was supporting in terms of their mental health. I mean, it was getting, we were at a point where they needed a lot of hand holding. Epic Fit was going through a nice stage. My private wealth business, there's all kinds of great types of stresses that were going on as well. Writing a book, a movie coming out, you name it. And I was also doing a lot of traveling. And so the first part was just a lot on my plate.
Mm.
The second part is I was starting to check out from my family. And I mean, that's part of the addiction problem. And I was starting to go and say, I got to travel, right? Feed the addiction, can feed that addiction. And I felt like I could take this overwhelm.
Mhm.
And I started to break down a little bit, but didn't admit that I was breaking down. And my amazing wife started to see some things that were happening, right? But I was like closed off on her. It's like, no, because I was afraid she'd come in and say, whoa, stop what you're doing, right? No, good things are happening. You don't understand. So I was keeping everything. And 40 days ago, she discovered I had a problem and an addiction. And that's when I got serious. And it's like, I'm a high quick starter. It's like, well, I had already mapped out what I needed to do, right? A meeting a day for 90 days, 90 and 90, 12-step meetings. Get a sponsor. When the higher power tells me I get a sponsor, talk to the sponsor every day. And so I've been into at least one meeting a day. Sometimes I go to two. The first day I went to 4.
Wow.
And so the big part of that, which was I was denying I had any kind of problem, because I could do this. I could do this in front of Epic Fit. I could do this in front of my team. I could do this in front of my family. But the person that knew me the most said, "Nuh-uh, nuh-uh. Things are going haywire. And if you're not going to tell me, I'm going to try to figure it out." And thank God she did. Thank God she did, because as all addictions, it just doesn't stay right here, right? We're going to have more stress, or even without the stress, you're going to spiral, right? And it was almost like, okay, I'm glad you discovered that, because out of this, Richard, holy moly, I was just talking to one of my good friends. The last 40 days has been so much more clarity in terms of saying no, in terms of being with the people like you, surrounding myself with those people that are the high conscious, high character, high courage individuals, and to say no to those people that I don't need to be a part of that, or the things that I don't need to be a part of, because my time, my energy is sacred, is even more sacred right now.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that from the entrepreneurial side, again, thinking about the challenges that we face, and I don't know any group of individuals that suffer from workaholism more than people in the entrepreneurial community. It's something that I know I've been very guilty of, and it certainly does rear its head now and again. Something that's helped me a lot in that regard has been access to great communities and
Yes.
coaching. And so, I want to shout out to Dan Sullivan and the
Yeah.
Strategic Coach organization. And really it's through that organization and the ripple effect of entrepreneurs that attend those sessions and the community that surrounds it. It's led me to meet and be introduced to other high caliber people like yourself in an aggregate format. And so there's this capacity to surround yourself with the right kind of people that are the right kind of people for you. What that means is there's similar lines of thinking, there's similar language that you can communicate on, and things like, as an example, the Colbier Index and some of the,
Right.
personality type assessments that are adjacent to that, that are more on the affective kind of world, that allow us to have a bit more of a deeper understanding about not just ourselves, but the people that we communicate with. And I found that to be very helpful in learning and recognizing that, hey, maybe I don't need to take everything on. Learning tools, strategies, and skills, developing skills that can help offload some of the things I would normally say yes to. Instead of saying yes, I'm saying, hey, I'd love to do that, but I'm not willing to commit. Tell you what, I'm happy to help if you absolutely need me, but I'm not willing to commit to being there for every meeting and for every day. And so being able to kind of disengage from some of those overcommitted pieces, I know for myself has been very beneficial because I'm a natural overcommitter. And I recognize someone who's similar to me in that regard, Mark, would probably be yourself. And so being able to just the power of saying no. And as an entrepreneur, especially in like a sales environment, you're taught and you're trained. All the sales and training education teaches you how to get someone to say yes. And it's so interesting because I actually do the exact opposite. I try to get people to say no. Say no as soon as possible so that we don't have to spend any more time, your time or my time, and we can get that time back. If you say no right away, I can go sit with my family. I can go to the river and hang out and go dunk in the beautiful waters of the river that's 2 minutes away from my house. That environment, and I really want to recognize where the time is important. So, your wife stepping in and seeing that, being able to kind of jump ahead, you're steamrolling ahead like a bus, and she was able to get in front of the bus and stop you on the road to be able to have that pause that was necessary to think through what was going on. There's lots of areas where recovery can exist. There's hotlines, all kinds of things. You do something, again, you kind of have like a personal 911 list. You put yourself in a position where you're there to support individuals who need it, that you're a trusted individual that they can reach out to. And you even talk about, and I've been in some rooms and some environments where you've talked through the idea of being able to be that go-to person for an individual that needs help and helping them understand when and how they can get a hold of you when that's necessary. Maybe talk through what that concept looks like for you and why that is important to the entrepreneurs that you do help.
This is something I got from, he's my doctor, Dr. Dan Carlin. He's the founder of World Clinic, biggest telemedicine group. He's just off the charts amazing when it comes to all of these things, specifically mental health. And I approached him, this was a little while back, and I just said, hey, Dr. Carlin, I have a entrepreneur friend here, and I'm worried about him. Can you help him out? And so as I was talking to him, I realized that this friend of mine, I was the only one that he was talking to about any of the struggles.
Mm.
And so this is from Dr. Carlin. He said, and this is what I do every single time that someone near and dear to my heart is suffering like that. I tell them, the next time you are thinking about hurting yourself or harming yourself, before you do it, you got to call me, and I will stick their phone number so they can see on the 24/7. And I said, when my watch, the phone goes off, if you call me, anybody on that list. During the day, you call me twice, or you 911 text message me, and I'm right there for you. So you could do whatever you want after that call, but you have to call me before that. And every I told you I have 16 people on that list. Every single person that I've told that to has had a very similar response.
Mm.
Most of the time they cry, tears of joy, gratitude. I've had a few even say, I think just by you doing that saved my life. Because
Wow.
think about it. Think about for myself, suffering for 47 years. And then someone comes to me and says, you can call me 24/7 if you're about to harm yourself. And all of a sudden, right there, you're not alone in this process. You're not alone in this process. It doesn't matter, your family doesn't know, but you have somebody right there 24/7. And most people don't call it. And like I said, though, a couple have in the last 6 months. And it's usually, of course, not of course, but they ended up not doing it. But it's just that action that you take right off the bat. Because people are on my 24/7 who I can call anytime. And that's like just looking at my phone and saying, oh, I can choose. All you need is one though.
Mhm.
I can call this person. Just knowing that. And that actually sometimes stops that downward spiral when you're about to pick up the phone. So yeah, that's the premise around that for sure.
Amazing. What an incredible way to stand up and be courageous for others and give them an opportunity to have that need, that feeling, that peace of mind that there's someone they can reach out to. With that in mind, we're going to talk more about some innovation that you have about how to get these ideas out into the marketplace more so that more people can be served and helped through the power of communities right after these messages.